With this new chapter, Oda pretty much confirmed that the Loki and people with ancient giants' blood are related to the Mink Tribe. And it will also explain who the mysterious Mosako is. Let me explain, it will connect really well. Also appreciate if you will subscribe to the channel to help it grow. Aside from having eyes that closely resemble those of awakened Mink Tribe members in Sulong form, Loki's mother literally called him the monster. Minks are fast, agile, strong. But most importantly, they possess two unique abilities that set them apart from other races. The first is the Sulong transformation, which features crescent moon-shaped pupils with vertical slits. These are exactly the kind of eyes young Loki has in the recent chapter. Now, setting aside the ancient giant tribe's massive size, their features also appear far more beast-like than normal giants. Just look at young Harald. His appearance is completely different from Broggy or Dory. In chapter 1143, when Loki lifts Ragnir for the first time, we see electricity crackle around it. You might think it's devil fruit related, but Loki still had one foot cuffed with sea stone, so that's ruled out. Ragnir also isn't a living weapon. It hasn't eaten a devil fruit either. So where did the lightning come from? That's Electro, a special ability unique to members of the Mink Tribe. Minks can generate and channel internal bioelectricity to shock their opponents. But it goes further. They can even channel Electro into objects. In this case, Loki is infusing Ragnir with Electro. His brother, Hajrudin, who shares the same father, Harald, has also inherited some ancient giant traits. And guess what? Back in Dressrosa, his punches were compared to lightning. Look closely and you'll notice his fists even spark with electricity, almost as if he's generating and directing Electro through his gauntlets. Now remember Kaido. He was described as durable, almost beast-like, and even led a crew called the Beast Pirates. His signature attack, Thunder Bagua, literally channels lightning through his weapon. Kaido might be a little stretch, but in Loki and Hajrudin's case, we already have enough hints that Electro could be linked to their bloodline. And this brings us to their eyes. Both Loki and Hajrudin wear hats. Loki even has a blindfold. Why? Because of their eyes. Mink Tribe members must look directly at the moon to trigger their Sulong transformation. But even the slightest obstruction, a hat, sunglasses, or a blindfold, can prevent the transformation. That's why minks like Pecoms wear shades when they travel outside. It's to stay in control. And remember Ors and Little Ors Jr.? Both are massive, wild, long-haired, and unmistakably bestial. They definitely had ancient giant blood too. And guess what? There were hat references for both of them. Ors even tried to wear an entire building as a hat. We also know that from a young age, Loki grew up in the underworld, the first world, surrounded by beasts. And those beasts bonded with him so deeply that they were willing to sacrifice their lives for him. But if Loki really does carry ancient giant blood and has a Mink Tribe connection, this bond makes perfect sense. Based on his words, it even seems like he can communicate with the beasts, just like the minks do with the animals. Now let's talk about another clue. Mosako and the snow Den Mushi. Many fans say the person Loki is communicating with is Jarul, but that doesn't line up. Loki specifically says he and Mosako have never met, so Mosako being Jarul makes no sense. Yet Loki clearly shares a deep connection with the person on the other end of the line. And remember, Den Mushi in One Piece mimic the mannerisms and appearance of their user. Mosako's Den Mushi is described as shaggy, implying the person on the other end is also shaggy or beast-like, just like a mink. Then there's the scene where Loki calls Luffy Roddy. Why would he do that? Well, we've already met a character named Roddy, a mink from Zou who once dueled Luffy. The only person Loki has been speaking to during his years of imprisonment is Mosako, So it's highly likely that Loki heard Rudy's name mentioned many times during those conversations and mistakenly called Luffy Roddy because of it. Mosako and Loki also talk about a tragic event, something recent and painful. This could easily be tied to Jack's attack on Zou, when he released poisonous gas on the island. Loki says that if it had been him, he would have slaughtered everyone in retaliation, otherwise they would come back for vengeance. That's heavy foreshadowing. Could this hint that he might return to Zou? After all, King and Queen were captured, but Jack's fate was never clearly shown after Wano. Mosako even says they won't be able to communicate anymore after this, which might imply that another major event, like an attack, is coming, and currently the Minks are on Wano. Maybe it's Blackbeard going after Pluton in Wano, or maybe it's another assault on Zou. So who is this shaggy Mosako Loki keeps talking to? My first guess was Nekomamushi. He's shaggy and fits the profile, but then I thought, could it actually be Carrot? Now hear me out. Oda is a huge fan of Dragon Ball and holds Toriyama in the highest regard. Luffy and Son Goku share tons of similarities, and Goku, just like Minks, has an animalistic transformation triggered by the moon. Goku's Saiyan name is Kakarot, a play on carrot. Toriyama named Saiyans after vegetables, Vegeta, Raditz, Nappa, and Oda naming a character Carrot seems like a direct nod to the tradition. And what does Carrot do? She transforms under the moon, just like Goku. No wonder Carrot got so much screen time. No wonder she consistently ranks among the top in official popularity polls, among all the One Piece characters. With all this in mind, it seems inevitable that Carrot will return to the story very soon, and quite possibly as the mysterious Mosako. And besides the fact that rabbits are naturally shaggy, there's another clue. The Den Mushi Mosako has long eyelashes and mouth shaped the same, just like Carrot. Mosako also mentions that she was scared in the past, but talking to Loki gave her courage and confidence. That kind of emotional support hints at a deep and growing friendship. Now, Loki currently doesn't want to ally with Luffy, but what if something changes that? What if it's for his friend? Loki did say that if he had been there, he would have slaughtered everyone, likely referring to the Zou tragedy or Wano. So, if something terrible is about to happen again, to the Mink Tribe or to Mosako specifically, wouldn't that be the perfect motive for Loki to finally join forces with Luffy? And now let's talk about patterns. There's a clear visual contrast emerging in recent chapters. Imu is associated with black, while Luffy, especially in his sun god form, is white. His white hair, the glow, it's all very similar to the Sulong transformation of the Mink Tribe, who also glow white under the full moon. Now take a closer look at Loki's long white hair. It's eerily similar to Sulong Minks and to Luffy in his Nika form. And remember, Loki literally called himself a sun god. So considering all this, and the fact that Luffy's devil fruit is a mythical zone, could it be possible that Nika, the Mink Tribe, and the ancient giants are all connected? Let's not forget the giant straw hat we saw hidden in Imu's chamber. If the original Nika, the legendary sun god and liberator, was in fact a giant with ancient giant blood, it would explain everything. It would connect Luffy, Loki, the Minks, and the giants in one incredible loop. Why else would Oda associate a sun god devil fruit so heavily with the moon, or link it so often to the D clan? And maybe this also explains why Luffy, like Loki, has always had the uncanny ability to understand animals and form powerful bonds with them. If you haven't seen my older video on Loki and the Mink Tribe, I recommend checking it out. But this ties together the threads between Loki, the Minks, and Sun God Nika. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did I miss anything? Do you agree with the theory? And if you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Your support really helps this channel grow. As always, thank you for watching, and I promise the next two videos are going to be very interesting.